All right, welcome back. This week's problem is finding a place for that. We do not have any good mounting points in the front anymore. We don't have inner fender wells. We have a custom core support, so we can't have it up front. We used to have it right there. It was riv nutted to the bed, and that was fine. But in light of doing lower prep racing, we want to move our weight to the back, so we're not going to put it back there with that mess. We are going to put it way under here on that rear cross member. And I'm going to show you how. So, as you can see, our battery and battery tray weigh 44.5 pounds. Guess what? We're going to do some more math. Because while the battery weighs 44.5 pounds, when you move it behind the rear axle, you're actually gaining weight. By us moving this battery from, let's just say, the factory location up in the front of the truck to back down here, we'll be gaining 60 pounds. That is significant because the more weight you can get on the rear axle, the harder you can leave, the more traction you'll be able to achieve, and the better you'll do on low prep. So now that we have chosen a convenient location jammed up under the back of the truck, we're going to stick it in the right rear in this area. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to utilize these bell crank tabs. You can get these on Quarter Max. We're going to use a little bit more tubing. Same stuff we used for the drive shaft loop. And we are going to need a third hand. So we have the battery mocked up here with our floor jack. We are going to retain this aluminum battery tray. Now if you notice, the battery is sideways. We're actually going to rotate it 180, but for the ease of lifting this up on a jack, we're going to leave it like this. Now on Optima batteries specifically, you can have these sideways, but they do not recommend them upside down. So now that we know our placement, we're going to take these tabs and start to get an idea. I'm thinking we're going to mount it like that, just to the back. And then for the tube, we're going to cut probably like 4 inches off. Mount the tab off to the side like that, bolt it up, and you're done. You want to keep in mind your lead placement. Like I said, we're going to flip this 180. Right now the leads are on top. They will be on bottom. For now, this is just for mock-up. But the next step is remove the battery so we don't have to keep lugging around 45 pounds. And we'll start mocking up and welding. So, in order to fit this up without the battery in here now this piece, this bracket, is physically larger than the battery, so wherever this fits, your battery's going to fit inside it. We want to go as far to the right as possible, but I have a breather line in the way, so we might have to move that for now somewhere. Get out of the way. Dang, it's dirty under here. Who neglected this thing? Come on. Come on. Fuck's sakes. Alright, I guess we're going to have to find a place for that now. And the brake light wiring. Damn. How'd I get it through there? Are you for real right now? Holy crap. All right, get out of the way. You too. Okay. So we're offsetting the battery to the right because my fat ass sits on the left, but this is the idea. So we have a rough placement. We want our tabs back here, like so. So I'm gonna hold the tab. And if you have a magnet, you can use that to help set up. I don't have room to put it on the back, so that's just gonna have to do. Come on, not this fallen shit again. Let's see. That magnet kind of sucks. Okay, rough idea. Stick the other one up there. Probably close enough. Somewhere. All right, we have 2 brackets up there. Let's see. That's pretty dang close for the top 2. We're not gonna do the bottom yet because we're gonna have to do tube, and it's gonna be a lot easier if we weld these first, bolt the bracket to it, and continue fit up. So now that these are up there, all I'm gonna do is scribe out an area I need to clean. I know you've heard it in my last videos, but prep is key. We can assume, because this is a rectangle battery tray, that the mounting holes are gonna land in the same spot on the bottom. So let's clean these up and we'll start getting. So let's clean these up, then we can tack it and fit up the bottom. All right, so here's the math. I'm going to do my best to explain it, the reason behind it, and hopefully I can make it understandable. Feel free to screenshot if need be. All you'll have to do is input your information. Every vehicle is going to be different. Now the key to this is if you frequently watch a lot of no prep racing videos or are familiar with some popular people who have stuff like the butthurt bar, this is the reason behind it. We are not going to run one of those, but we are moving some stuff to the back to help our rear bite. So let's start. Up in the top here is our key. These are the letters in our equations. These are the definitions of the letters so you understand them. The triangles you might see later is just a delta. Just don't worry about it. I'll try and make it as simple as possible. The main details we need are your wheelbase, the weight of the object you're moving, the distance of part in front of rear axle in inches. You can do this either forward of rear axle or behind rear axle. Forward is a positive movement, rear is a negative movement. This is the equation drawn out, but if you're like me and struggled with whatever kind of math this is in school, don't worry about that. Use this one down here. I have it written out. So we take our key up here, input all our information. It is simply weight gained on rear axle equals battery weight times how far it moved divided by wheelbase. If you're familiar with the order of operations, you're actually doing how far it moved divided by wheelbase first, then multiplying that to your battery weight. Here's the data we're going to use. The original battery location. It was 120 inches in front of the axle, mounted up on the wheel tub near the core support. The new location is 38 inches behind the rear axle. That means the total distance this battery would have moved is 158 inches. Now the other thing you need is wheelbase. You can measure it from your front hub to your rear hub, or you can go on Google if you don't want to do that. Our wheelbase is 117 inches. The weight of the battery or the item you're choosing to move, ours in this case is 44.5 pounds. So here's the equation written out with numbers. And I have a negative on 158 because the total distance moved is 158 inches backwards. So if we go through the math, we are going to do 158 divided by 17 equals 1.3504. Now, you'll take your 1.3504 times 44.6, and you'll get negative 60.23. Now, don't worry about the negative sign. All that means is that we went backwards. It's just a designation, whether we moved it forward, backwards, blah, blah, blah. The total weight moved equates to 60.2 pounds. Now, the easiest way I can explain this is, say my finger is a rear axle, and this is a teeter-totter, right? So if you had two kids on a teeter-totter, and one was right next to your pivot point, and one was way off to the end, it's going to go this way. This is the best example I can give you. The more weight you have back, the more leverage you have, right? So rear axle, use my fist as a tire. We moved the battery weight. Instead of being up here, we moved it all the way in the back. And now we have all that leverage on the rear axle. So the best way to think about moving weight and using all this math is think of it as a teeter-totter. Alright guys, next step in the process is to get some brackets tacked up. So like we did earlier in the video, we're going to stick these tabs up there, check that they fit, and give them a little tack. Now the problem is, TIG welding next to magnets is next to impossible, so I'm gonna have to hold it now that I know where it goes and hope it sticks. That's a negative. Hold on. There we go. Just put a glove on, you'll be fine. Alright, we got one tacked up. Now, gotta do the other side. Oh, it's already up there. Alright, we got some good tacks in. Now, we're going to bolt it up and start setting up our lower mounts. Ooh, that was hot. Oh shit, Sherlock. They make bell crank tabs with threads already pressed in them, like a threaded insert, almost like a rib nut. I highly suggest just buying those, because there's not much room up here. Well, the problem is on this cross member, there's actually an angle right here. It's not straight like the center is, so it's a little offset. So we are gonna have to try and figure out how to mount this and make it so it doesn't try and suck it back and either bend this bracket or bend these tabs up there. But these tabs sit on top of the tube essentially. So if we mount it there and mount it there. Oh, hold on. We're almost flush. What does this side look like? What are we doing here? This side's better. Like that. Cut 2 of those and go from there. Alright, so I figured I'd catch you guys up to speed. I decided to change the design for the lower bracket. I'm going to use this piece of 90 left over from our drive shaft loop video. So we're going to have 3 mounting points. 1, 2, 3. I mean, we'll have 4 tabs, but only 3 mounting points to this cross member. It's going to be plenty strong enough. The battery's only 44 pounds. Also, I did have to modify this bell crank bracket. I basically cut the front lip off. You'll see why in a second. Alright. So we put this up here. We land on this front one. We land on this back one, which I had to trim because 1, I cut this too short so the tube angles up, and 2, it lands on this radius, which gets in the way of the radius of the original tab. So this is the idea. We're going to tack it up, then we're going to tack our tabs, unbolt the tray, fully weld everything, and hopefully none of the metal moved and this bolts back up. Then I can show you the finished result. Call a plumber because I gotta fill that crack in. Sorry, lovely wife, for all the editing you're gonna have to do. Anyway, about 5 minutes ago, when I undid this first bolt, you might have saw that this dropped. We're going to use welding to our advantage, and we're going to put a nice, big, fat, hot tack on the back side here while we're pushing up, and it is going to suck this back up where it's supposed to be. Those are looking pretty nice. I can't wait to do them ones. What? How else does everyone else do this out of position welding? Because my freaking neck hurts. That's toasty. You see the smoke come off the wall? That's healthy. I need a lift. Anyway, Focus. There you have it. This is a finished battery relocation. Tabs up here. Those welds don't look very good up on that one. Oh, those ones don't look very good either. Well guys, that pretty much wraps up the video. I just wanted to say, if you made it this long, thank you. And if you're wondering if you can do this stuff, you can. You just have to put in the time and the effort. The reason this truck's been through so many versions is because I've messed it up so much. I mean, I've built the transmission, the engine, the rear end, put the cage in it. It's took me 6 years to get it right, but you can do it. I started off with a Harbor Freight flux core welder, and it was horrible. You just got to get out in the garage and practice. You're going to waste some argon, ruin some metal, but I'm cheap and don't like to pay people to do stuff, and that's why I taught myself how to do this. Hopefully I can teach you to do the same. If you like these videos, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching.